It probably would be helpful to the dialogue if the evolutionists were not so demeaning and degrading to others. And again, I kind of go back to perhaps that comes out of the philosophy of evolution, that some people are better than others.
So you don't think Christians are better than Muslims or atheists? Is that not a philosophy that comes from your religion and pretty much every fucking religion?
You said there was no evidence of intermediates in evolution, and I told you about 5 fossils.
And what I say, if that were and if those were valid, there would be tons of evidence, because there are so many different species that there ought to be tons of evidence, even let's say for 1% of the macroevolution that's taken place, there should be evidence. But there's not even 1%, let alone 10 or 50 or 70%.
Tell me, bitch, where is your 10 or 50 or 70% that God exists? Any God. Much less your fucking specific God. It's fucking ridiculous. Yet again, her standards for science are fucking astronomical, but her standards for her own beliefs are almost non-existent.
There is a massive amount of evidence. You just need to go into the books and go into the museums and look at it. It's there.
Yes, and
you're believing people who are telling you there's only 1%.
Oh, and again I go back to, 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 I go back to. It's very demeaning to say that we only believe what we believe because we've been told that, and yet we have evolutionary scientists who want to be the ones to tell all of society what is fact and what's not fact, and to censor out information that is inconvenient.
Let's be honest here. Who is censoring out the facts that are inconvenient here? Is it Richard Dawkins or is it Wendy Wright? Let's take an honest look at it. Can anyone here that is actually a creationist or a Christian sit there and look at Wendy Wright and tell me that it is Richard Dawkins who is censoring out information and not her? You have to be out of your fucking mind. Who is this fucking retarded? This is a major problem, because this is not someone that is like retarded and just sits at home and writes YouTube comments. This is someone that is actually proactive in what our fucking kids are going to learn. Are you fucking kidding me?
Asking you to go and look at the facts. I don't want you to believe me. Just go and look at the facts.
Yes, and I have. And again I go back to, let's look at the differences of what your philosophy lives out, the evolutionary philosophy, and how does that end up working out in a society.
Yeah,
For the last time, bitch, that is not an argument. Just because kids might be happier because they think Santa Claus is real does not benefit society in the long run. Do you fucking get it? I don't think you do. I don't think, you know, because the tooth fairy didn't put the money underneath your pillow doesn't make everything bad, okay? Maybe you need to get a hold of that. Grasp a hold of the facts. Your parents put the $1 or the 50 cents or the quarter or however cheap your fucking parents were, they put it under your fucking pillow. It wasn't a tooth fairy.
I've accepted that if we worked out society on Darwinian grounds, it would be a very, very unpleasant right-wing society. I've accepted that.
Well, I don't know right-wing. It seems to be that you fall back on ad hominem, name-calling.
May I remind you, you dumb fucking bitch, that it is not Dawkins who constantly says, may I fall back upon. He's not falling back. He hasn't done one single ad hominem attack the entire time. He's tried to educate you. Very fucking patiently, I might add. I don't have the same patience he does. I know that you're a retarded, stupid fucking bitch, and that even if I popped you across the fucking face and called you a retard, you still wouldn't it wouldn't sink in. Fuck you for being like, oh, well, you're just giving ad hominem attacks and that's all you can fall back on, when you haven't answered a single motherfucking question that he's asked. Fuck you, you disingenuous creationist fucking slut bitch.
All right, then, free market, ruthless trampling on the poor, That's what it would be like.
What I find interesting, though,
is
is
a Darwinian society. I don't want a Darwinian society.
Communism was based on atheistic beliefs and evolutionary beliefs, and communism resulted in a decade that had more deaths, over 100 million deaths committed because of communism, than all the killings combined of every century prior to that. So when you talk about socialism, which is a close cousin to communism, being a better way of life, I look back on what beliefs was communism and socialism based on, and the atheistic belief that human beings are not distinct and should not be respected.
Oh my fucking God. Does it even need a response? It doesn't, does it? It's fucking, like, seriously, this is fucking gonna kill me to finish this fucking interview.
When you say distinct, do you mean distinct from each other, or do you mean when human beings are not distinct from each other? Is that what you mean?
Human beings are created as distinct from one another and should be treated with respect, even if they are not utilitarian, even if they are not able to provide something to society. The atheistic belief, the evolutionary belief, is that you're unnecessary and unneeded if you cannot provide something for society.
So what you're telling me, bitch, is that we think that anybody that is not absolutely essential for society should be, what, exterminated? Are you fucking kidding me? What is this fucking insane bullshit? Let me tell you what I think as an atheist. I think people like you are detrimental to society. I think you do nothing to improve society, and you just look for gaps and holes. I mean, you think there would be any kind of technology? You think that anybody would be interviewing you right now if it wasn't for the technology that science came up with? But you're just too fucking fucktarded to ever deal with anything like that. You're just in your own little la-la land, and it's scary. You know, yes, well, what I go back to is I'm a tard, and you'll have to explain that again. But when you explain it again, what I go back to is I'm still retarded, and so I still didn't explain. It didn't do me no good. You just slightly more functionally retarded than the character I just played. You dumb fucking cunt.
That's an extraordinary thing to say. I mean, you equated atheistic with evolutionary. That means that's wiping out most of the bishops. They wouldn't take very kindly to that. I know
I've recognized that there are varying degrees within the evolutionary beliefs. It's the hardcore evolutionists that reject the idea of a creator that then pave the foundation for very brutal societies.
Well, I have accepted that if we were to base our societies on Darwinian principles, they would be brutal, harsh, and unpleasant. I have told you that I want not to live in a Darwinian society. I've suggested to you that it might be a good idea to learn something about Darwinism so as to know what to avoid in setting up society.
And it would be helpful to learn what are the characteristics that make successful and healthy society. And let's build on those characteristics.
I agree with that, and among those characteristics would be critical thinking, a respect for education, a respect for evidence.
And a respect for human beings.
And a respect for human beings, very much so.
Regardless of whether they can provide for society or provide something to society.
Yes, indeed.
This bitch does not seem to realize that, like, you know, atheists care about people. We care about society. We are not some kind of outsider force that is like, don't care about people. And we hate you if you care about people. You know, she's acting like the only people who can possibly care for other people who might not benefit society so much are what? They can't be anything but Christian. It's fucking ridiculous, considering that most Christians are right-wingers. And to say that right-wingers care more about people who need help than liberals is fucking retarded. It's something that someone says when they haven't looked at the issues at all.
The essence of the liberal philosophy which I espouse, that human beings should be respected, their health should be taken care of.
Even if they don't have a functioning brain that is conscious.
They should be given, their hospital care should be taken care of by the state. That's a liberal principle which I espouse. It's an un-Darwinian principle.
And see, I believe that it's not a state, because a state is an institution or an entity. It's human beings that provide care for others.
And she also believes that if you go to the doctor with a chicken, because you're a chicken farmer, that he's going to cure you of your cancer for a fucking chicken.
Well, okay, human beings provide care for others. None of that bears on the truth of whether evolution actually happened. And that is a matter of fact. It's like gravity. You can't get away from fact. Study the fact, learn the facts, and then make up the society that you want to live in on the basis of the facts as they are.
Yeah, and the facts that would include what makes the better society is one where there's deep respect for each human being, and a way to inculcate
deep respect for each human being.
the way to inculcate respect for human beings is by seeing that they were created.
And there you have it. This bitch just admitted that without thinking that we are all created by a creator, she does not respect us. Human beings are nothing unless we are created by something higher, some bigger, higher power. We are just bullshit and should be treated as such. I mean, how fucking retarded are you? And you're going to call us the immoral ones, that you have the fucking higher moral ground? Suck my dick.
So you would you actually distort the scientific fact in order to create respect?
There's no need to distort, because as I mentioned, science is a technique, a tactic for discovering and unlocking the keys of how this world works. And so we don't need to deny any facts, because the facts end up bearing out our beliefs. So sometimes it takes time for science to catch up with the beliefs that have made the best societies.
Bitch, science improves these societies. The beliefs of the society does not matter. Okay, the beliefs of ancient societies, they thought that lightning was when God was angry. Okay, now does that hold any bearing in today's society? No, because science has explained it. We don't need to make bullshit up to fill in the gaps like you are trying to do. The funny thing about you fuckers is that the gaps keep getting smaller, but your arguments for them keep getting bigger and bigger. It's it's the only way for your bullshit to survive. The only way for you to stay in fucking happy land is for you to make bullshit up and try and pass it off as fact. And we're not buying it, bitch.
Sometimes it takes a while for science they may stumble across something and take the wrong interpretation from it, and build a philosophy on it, and then later realize, oops, that wasn't correct.
Unlike religion, which builds up something, realizes it's false, and says, fuck it, we gotta stick with it now. We already told the lie. We can't admit we were fucking lying. We can't admit any mistakes. It's all gotta be fucking truth, no matter what. And we gotta find as many excuses to explain away the fucking false bullshit in our religion as we can. And then we're gonna hire people like Wendy motherfucking Wright to try and make us look like we're, what, not retarded? You're fucking failing.
So science oftentimes changes its own beliefs based on new evidence that comes forward. But oftentimes what ends up happening is, as science progresses, it backs up the belief that there's an intelligent designer.
You look like a fool. You are sitting there telling us that science changes when it learns new things. Like that's a fucking bad thing. Because your religion doesn't. Your religion cannot change. It is stuck. It was written that way and it cannot change. Oh, unless, of course, you all agree that, like, we should leave this part out and consider that, leave out the part about eating shellfish as abomination, but continue propagating the being homosexual is an abomination, and therefore it is against the Bible, and therefore you should not be able to do it, while I sit there and eat my lobster and shrimp. Fuck you. I mean, you fucking hypocrites drive me crazy. I mean, really fucking bad. You sit there and try and hold the high moral ground while you are the least moral motherfuckers on the goddamn planet. You have no morals. You have no understanding of real rights, the human rights. You only understand, oh, Christians are so persecuted, and you guys are coming after this. It's because you guys are fucking assholes. That's what happens. You act like a douchebag, you get treated like one.